It is the Riot on RadioU. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast episode for Wednesday, September 13th. Today, the first day of our fall fundraiser. And whether you listen to RadioU on the actual radio or you listen on the app or you just only listen to this podcast, it's all powered by listeners, by people who donate. Many other podcasts right now, they'd be asking you for Patreon donations or something like that for RadioU. We don't do that every time, but a couple times a year, we got to remind you that we're listener supported. And the only way Isaiah and I have jobs, the only way this podcast keeps going is with your help at RadioU.com or the RadioU app. You can donate there too. So do it.
Please.
Now, we're doing the podcast a little differently today because it is during the fundraiser. So we're testing out some different stuff. Let us know if you like it.
We'll kick it off. Danilo Cavalcante.
What a cool name.
It is a sick name. Not a good guy, though,
no.
Apparently. But details have emerged right now because he just got captured. He escaped jail, essentially. Murderer. Taken into custody.
Convicted murder. He's the crab walking guy, right?
Is that who that is?
Yes.
Okay, so because we talked about that story a couple weeks ago, he pretty much crab walked out of a prison.
Yeah, like some cartoon character, which by the way, so if you remember the video, it's the one where the prisoner, he like leans his hands up against the wall and then does that thing where he like walks his feet up against the wall behind him.
It's impressive.
And then is able to crawl that way up between the two walls all the way out. So I tried doing that with some wall. It's actually very difficult.
It is, I can imagine it was very hard.
If I was ever put in prison, even after seeing his mastermind escape, I wouldn't be able to pull it off. There's no chance.
Apparently, he allegedly stabbed his ex-girlfriend.
Not good.
I would say that's grounds for prison.
Yeah, for life.
Yeah.
I think probably.
But essentially, he escaped jail, prison, whatever it is. But they found him in the woods. So my question is, if you escape jail, what would your plan be? Like, you got to think, when these guys get out, number one, he has to be so surprised that it worked.
Yeah.
Like, when he crab walks that building and hops out, first thing has to be shock. And then, like, where do you go?
Yeah.
Everywhere on foot? Do you steal a car? Did you plan on trying to go to another country? What do you do?
I think probably going to another country is your best bet, right?
But people never make it.
Yeah, it's hard. The United States is big. And you got to figure out a way. How do you leave this country? Because if you can't fly, if you could fly, you might as well just stay here. Because if you flying, you need like a passport or something to get to another country. So that's not going to work.
I'm surprised people don't get fake ones. You know?
Yeah, but I think that's hard.
I mean, yeah, but if you're like a seedy guy, you know?
Yeah.
Don't you know?
Yeah, but just because you're a murderer doesn't mean you know somebody who knows how to make fake passports.
I feel like if you're a murderer, you do know somebody.
You met somebody in jail. Every jail has that. Probably
before you left, what you would want to do is you would want to walk around, figure out why everybody's in there. Then you find the guy that knows a guy on the outside that makes fake passports for people that break out of jail.
That's already sounded like so much work, though.
Sounds like a movie. I mean, hey, if you want to get out of jail and get away, it's going to be a lot of work.
The thing I was going to point out that I haven't thought a lot about what I would do because I haven't been in jail. But if in jail, what do you have time to do? Think.
You have a lot of time to think.
Yeah, so I would...
I mean, what else are you thinking about when you're sitting there?
Yeah, for me personally, I'd just be thinking about life on the other side, what I would do when I get out, but I wouldn't escape until I had a plan in mind.
Because you only get one true shot at it.
Yeah, that's right.
Nobody escapes from prison twice.
No.
Because once you escape once, they're like, all right, buddy, now it's a little bit more high eyes on you, you know?
So here's what I'm thinking off the top of my head without a lot of time to think in jail. I think I would find a way to acquire a boat because that's probably your best way.
What a wild.
I'm not a seafaring man whatsoever. I'm not a salty dog, but that's the way you would have to. That's the way you would have to escape, right? You could get a boat.
I feel like you could just
sail to the Caribbean somewhere probably and have a pretty decent life down there and hopefully never be caught. And if you are caught, maybe they don't extradite criminals to the United States.
Couldn't you just walk to Mexico?
Probably.
You'd have to drive, though.
That's kind of
where you
that's kind of reversed these days, though, you know?
I know. That's why I think you'd be able to just walk right over. It sounds like.
Yeah.
From everything I've heard, you'll be able to walk right across. But yeah, I think too, when people talk about breaking out of jail and trying to get to another country, the first thing I think is you can't contact any of your family.
Yeah.
When you get out.
Oh, you're starting a new life.
You can't contact anyone, your mom, your dad, because as soon as you call them or try to contact them, you're getting caught.
Yeah, that's a dead giveaway.
You can't contact them. So like when you get out, you'd have to just ride a solo act.
Yeah.
Down to Mexico, up to Canada, whatever direction you're going. But there's no way you're getting on a plane.
And Canada be risky.
You think it's hard to cross over into Canada? I never have.
I believe if you're going to do it like in a normal place, obviously, but could there be spots along the border in the wilderness where you could probably just make it? I guess I'm not sure, but I would assume. And Canada's a big country.
It's huge.
So once you get there,
you could hide.
You'd have to go way up north to the wilderness to like the Arctic Circle.
Because it's pretty like there's not a lot of people like taking up a lot of area.
Yeah, once you get out of the very southernmost parts of it, if you're getting up to Yukon, like towards Alaska or Nunavut, you've got a lot of empty space. However, it's pretty tough living up there. You have to be a real mountain man.
Would you rather go north to Canada or south to Mexico, you think?
I feel like I like my odds better in Mexico.
You think so?
Yeah, I think I do.
Why is that?
Because Canada, I think I'd be more likely to get caught. And also, again, where I'd have to go, I don't want to have to go up and, I guess maybe is freezing in the very north of Canada, living in a cabin, better than being in jail? That's debatable, probably, to me.
Yeah.
So, fending off wolverines and things of that nature. Or
you could be by the beach in Mexico.
You could.
Golf in Mexico. Go down there to the Gulf.
Get a nice suntan.
And think about this, too, right? So Canada, if you cross over into Canada, you're only going north. You know? If you cross over into Mexico, you could walk straight down to South America.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You could just keep on going.
There's a lot of options.
You go from Mexico, then you hit Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and you just keep on going down till you're into Colombia. And then before you know it, you're going to be down in Argentina.
Yeah.
But if you go the other way, if you go Canada, what's best case scenario?
It's just Canada all the way.
You reach Greenland? You have to get a boat. There's nowhere else you're going. You're just Canada.
Yeah.
So that's why I think south is better. More options.
South is better, but I still think taking my chances at sea is probably my best option for me.
But you're not taking your chances at sea.
I'm going to take my chances at sea.
Cuba, Puerto Rico, that you're playing, Haiti?
Cuba feels like a safe destination. Because again, it's reversed. Usually it's people trying to get out of there, come here. So I think if I get there, nobody's going to be trying to send me to the U.S.
True.
Is what I'm thinking. However, I will have a tough time blending in any of these locales. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking so as well.
So all right, next topic. If we don't have a
wait a minute, say that again.
Next topic. Talking of countries, did you know there's a new survey out there? I guess do this every year that asks Americans, what do you think are the best countries that aren't the United States? What is your answer? All the countries.
What are people going to say here? Best country that's not the United States.
Yeah.
And this is every country is choosing this?
Yeah. Okay, so...
Or just United States people?
What do you think Americans think is the best country? And then also, what do you think the world thinks is the best country? Because I have both.
Americans. God, I have like two things in my mind right now for America.
Okay.
I am going to go with Italy. Is that close? I feel that's a pretty good guess.
No, Italy didn't even crack the top 10.
Are you joking? Okay, let me go again.
Okay, yeah, one more guess. And then I'm going to do the big reveal.
I'm going to go with Finland.
Finland also not on the list, although it feels like it should be, shouldn't it? Because it's always ranked. It's always
so happy, right?
It's the happiest country in the world.
That felt like an educated guess from me.
Yeah, but that does not make the list either. The number one country, I don't think this is surprising though, the number one country that's not the United States, according to Americans, is the UK. Great Britain.
Fair enough.
Which makes sense because we would just pick a country that's very, in many ways, similar to us. And a lot of times the United Kingdom feels like they have it figured out in a way. So that's the best country, according to Americans, that isn't the United States. Next up is New Zealand, coming in at third.
Really? Who would have ever voted New Zealand?
I don't know. I guess people just still really like the Lord of the Rings, pretty much. I think that's really the only familiarity
I'm trying to find. Riddle me, where is New Zealand?
New Zealand is...
I got a map up.
Well, it's down in the south. It's like by Australia. Australia's pretty big. You should be able to find that.
Australia? Oh, off of Australia.
Yeah, off the coast. I think the east coast of Australia.
They think this is the third best country.
Yeah.
Impossible.
Well, it's very picturesque.
I mean, yeah, it might look good.
Yeah, but I don't know what the positives of living in New Zealand would be. You're very isolated.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's a positive. You're next to Australia.
Is that a positive or is that a negative?
I think it's a positive because maybe nobody's going to attack you. Who's going to attack you? Australia's cool.
Yeah, they're
chill.
definitely allies.
I guess China's kind of close, but you're as close to China as you are like Argentina, Chile.
If China gets to the point of attacking New Zealand, then the rest of the world is probably toast, right? And then it is a very peaceful. Then number 4, New Zealand is. So, I mean, I guess that's a positive. The rest of the rankings, Australia, number 4, Sweden, 5, then Canada, 6, Japan, France, Switzerland, and Germany. Now, here's what's odd, is that Switzerland came in at number 9 this time. Every past year, going literally every other time, Switzerland has been the top choice for the United States.
Switzerland, huh?
Yeah. What's so great about Switzerland? I mean, also picturesque. You got like the Alps, the mountains there.
I'll figure it out.
Switzerland, it's one of the very neutral countries. Also, one of the very peaceful ones, right? I think I'd like Switzerland. They got good chocolate, supposedly.
That's one of the first things that pops up.
Yeah.
What's so great about Switzerland? I Google the combination of amazing weather, eye-captivating scenery, small but nice things like the best cheeses, chocolates.
Yeah, that's right. They do have
and
good
watches.
Cheese.
Together are what makes Switzerland and its people so intriguing.
Jeez.
Okay, that doesn't sound that great.
If watches is in your like top 5 things about your country,
come on.
I don't know if that's no wonder you're not
amazing
a number 1
weather,
anymore.
good scenery, and small but nice things like cheese, chocolate, and watches. That's what you've got. Like if you came to a presentation and that's what you came with, I'd be like,
yeah,
that's not my first visit.
It's shocking that it's been number 1 every year until now, but I also obviously have to take issue with Canada being number 6.
I considered Canada.
Canada's so similar to the United States, and as we just covered, yes, there's a lot of wilderness to Canada. There's a lot of cold parts, but if you stay in the cities in the southern parts of Canada, it's really very similar to the United States. Very compared to, at least I would say, probably the UK and some of these other countries, very multicultural, which I think a lot of people appreciate about the United States, but maybe people don't like that as much. Maybe I feel like people like that, but they actually don't. They just want to be, I don't know. But
see, what I think about Canada is we know too much about them. That's why they can't be. Because I know, even I, as just like a typical everyday goer, unintelligent fool, I know that Canada's rent is so high. Like the prices to live there is ridiculous. It's like one of the worst rates in the entire world. And so for that reason alone, I drop Canada points.
That's a good point because
we know too much.
For all you know, the rent could be really high in Australia too.
But I would never know.
But it's a mystery, so therefore it might be lower than Canada. It's like you could either choose the known prize that's $1,000, or you could choose a mystery prize. It could be anything.
And I love a good mystery. That sounds like an American way to go.
Yeah,
you're
that's
taking
a very
the mystery prize.
American way of thinking. Now, let's if you wanted to look at what the rest of the world, because they also asked 36 countries in total this same survey. And the entire world as a whole actually did have Switzerland at number 1. What? The rest of the world loves Switzerland.
Is this can't be like the U.S. isn't an option, is it?
The U.S. is an option.
It is or is not?
It is a choice.
You're
but
saying
it was
we're not
the
number
top
1.
choice. No, the world does not see us that highly. They think Switzerland is better than the United States.
What a bunch of they're just
In
jealous.
fact, the United States came in 5th.
5th?
Yeah.
What? How in the world are we number 5?
We're number 5. We're number 5 behind Switzerland, Canada.
They would. They so would.
Sweden and Australia is the top 5.
Sweden and Australia, we're number 5. Everybody a bunch of babies. That's why they're just nervous.
Finland, despite being the happiest country in the world and well known as such, number 14 in the overall ranking.
That's how you know nobody knows a darn thing.
Yeah, the rest of the country isn't. The rest of the world isn't paying attention. Apparently,
we're number 5.
We're number 5.
You're telling me they would rather go to Canada than the U.S. of A.
If you ask somebody in any other country, I guess the odds are they're taking Canada, and Australia, Sweden, and Switzerland over the United States if they could move anywhere.
Jeez, then why don't
I know the survey says that, but it sure doesn't seem that way, does it?
Not with all these immigrants. What are you talking about?
Yeah. And I love immigrants. It just feels like it doesn't seem like other countries are having such an immigrant. Some people say it's a problem. Yeah. Influx, nevertheless, however you want to address it.
However you want to say it.
Yeah.
Why would we be number 5 and not number 1? Is my question. Outside of, there's a myriad of reasons I could think of off the top of the dome. The mass shootings, obviously, at number 1.
That's right. Every other country thinks we have way more. We have too many.
We do.
There's no bones about it, but
are we doing anything about it?
It's over. No. It's not particularly, but I think the rest of the world thinks we have way more than we do.
Yeah, every time you talk to somebody, this is what's crazy. If you ever meet somebody who is from another country, the first thing they'll ask is like, so how many times have you seen someone get shot in front of you? They act like it just happens on the street every day, like just like right next to your house. Like I think that's all they talk about in their news probably. It's all they see from the U.S. is like the NFL and then that. Yeah. They're like, so you guys really love football, huh? That's like your thing. And then they'll be like, so how many times have you seen somebody get shot? That's what we're known for, I think. And so
that probably does drop us down the list. Whereas,
we're still number 5.
Yeah. But imagine how high we'd be if we didn't have all these shootings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We'd be number 1. Like we used to be.
Yeah. We got to get back.
In the good old days.
Yeah. We got to restore our former glory here in the U.S. All right. Well, we tried something different here with the Worst of the Riot podcast. Now, what you have coming up next, you got some classic Worst of the Riot segments as well. I can tell you, do you remember ABC Dating? Because we're
ABC Dating.
Yeah, we're going to give you some dating tips to keep your relationship strong coming up next.
I remember that.
And don't forget to donate. RadioU.com, the RadioU app. You can get a donation in during the fall fundraiser to keep this wonderful show and this radio station going. And we'll be back with you tomorrow.
And we'll see you guys soon.
It's the Riot.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is the Riot on Radio U.
Check this out, Isaiah. I need you to weigh in on this. I've got a woman that is suing a Thai restaurant in Los Gatos. That means the cats, right? Is that what that means?
I'm not sure. I'll get that for you.
Yeah, it's a town anyways. And she's suing the restaurant because they served her a spicy appetizer called Dragon Balls. It's a good name. Problem is, according to her, this spicy appetizer was way too spicy. So spicy, in fact, that she claims she suffered severe chemical burns to her vocal cords, esophagus, and right nostril.
Because of the actual, spice level, not the actual heat.
Yeah, we're talking chemical burns. So there was something in these Dragon Balls that was so spicy that it damaged her voice, it damaged her nostril. That's a wild claim. And she's not just suing, the restaurant's called Coupe de Thai. She's not just suing the restaurant itself. She's serving its owner, the chef who cooked it, the meal, the waitress who took her order, and anyone who, quote, in any way influenced, designed, prepared, or participated in creating the Dragon Ball dish.
Well, that seems like a little bit much.
She's taking them all down. Even the waitress. It's the waitress's fault she got the burns.
Before that, I was like, maybe you're suing the waitress? She's making minimum wage.
Yeah.
Why are you suing her?
What did she have to do with this?
It's not her fault. She went back there and grabbed the food.
She just She just
and
literally
came out and handed it to you. For that reason alone, I'm against her now. I no longer want her to win the lawsuit because you sued the waitress, money-hungry.
The waitress doesn't deserve it. And think about how this would change the paradigm of waiting on people, because all of a sudden you're assuming a whole lot of risk. You could get sued just simply by bringing the person the food that they asked for.
Yeah, that won't stand up. That's not going to go through there.
That can. You want to know more
she
about...
sounds like a big baby now. I'm against her.
You want to know more about Dragon Balls?
Let's hear it.
Dragon Balls is described as spicy chicken balls with mint, shallot, green onion, cilantro, kaffir lime leaf, and chili.
Got it. They look tasty.
Yeah, they look pretty good. I understand why you would order them. And I just don't know how this is even possible.
Me either. Apparently, Walia states she experienced permanent injuries and will be forever damaged.
Thanks to the Dragon Balls.
Man, that must be a crazy amount of spice.
Yeah, it is kind of a cool story if you were to tell it the right way. Oh, this scar here on my nostril? Yeah, that's from some Dragon Balls. Actually, I don't know about that. Maybe keep that one to yourself.
Yeah, I would.
Maybe make up something else.
I would think that you want to just leave that as.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, once you're involving the waitress, it's,
She's taking everybody down with her.
Taking them all
from
down.
the top to the bottom. It doesn't matter who you were, if you touched the food, if you saw the food, if you were in the restaurant.
Yep.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
When you think of NASA, what's the first word that comes to mind?
Space.
Space. I knew you would say that. Okay, what's the second word that comes to mind?
NASA, space, the moon.
Moon, right?
People love the moon. Rocket. That would be another one
That's
for me.
That's a good one. I think most people think of NASA and you think going to the moon. But the reality is that's not what most people want NASA to be doing.
What do they want them to do?
A new survey here says that the top thing, the number one thing people want NASA to do, asteroids. Keep track of them.
Asteroids?
Yeah, people want NASA to be on top of the location, the trajectory for asteroids to make sure, I guess, none are going to hit Earth, impact Earth. That's a top thing people think NASA, according to this survey of 10,000 Americans, that's the number one thing they think NASA should be doing.
Got it. So no asteroids hitting Earth. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
I guess it's important work. Somebody needs to do it, right? It just feels like the odds of an asteroid hitting Earth are astronomical.
When was the last time we had a big one? Really do something.
Yeah. Not in our lifetime.
Nope.
Yeah. Although I did see, did you see that story from like last week about the French lady that got hit with a little tiny meteorite while she was having coffee?
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
It's a good story.
And you know what happened? She's no worse for the wear.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
She got hit by a meteorite. She's just fine.
Hit with a rock?
So I feel like asteroids aren't as big of a deal, but that's the number one thing people want NASA to be doing. Meanwhile, that was like 60% of people think that's the top priority for NASA. Meanwhile, only 12% of people think NASA should be focusing on sending astronauts to the moon and or Mars.
Oh, even Mars?
Yeah, Mars included.
I feel like Mars would be cool. We don't want to go to Mars?
I thought this like you're the opposite of the American public on this.
Yeah, I want us to land on things.
It feels like that's all you care about.
All I care about is landing on things. If we didn't touch it, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, we can't claim it.
We can't claim it until we touch our feet on it.
Yeah.
So nobody wants us to go to Mars, huh? That was the big thing. I'm down with Mars. Send them there. Walk them around.
Mm-hmm.
See if we can hang out there. I thought that was the plan. I thought that was the whole plan.
Well, that is the plan. And see, this is the controversy because apparently, according to this survey, and this is 10,000 Americans. So this isn't like, oh, you can't fudge the numbers on 10,000 people. Only 12% thinks that NASA should be sending people to the moon and Mars. But if you look at like what Congress's NASA budget is preparing for, it's giving more funding to sending people up into outer space and not as much for like the science-y kind of side of NASA, which it seems that people are more think is more what NASA should be worrying about.
See, I think that we should be worried about going to find in some other planet that we can hang out on. It seems as if we've already kind of done this one in.
You think so?
I think that maybe this one seems like it's on the fringe of...
I think it's still got some legs.
You think so? You think we can turn this thing around?
I still think there's some future for Earth.
See, it's like the same people that like really want us to turn it around, but it's impossible.
Yeah, so that is true. The people are like...
They're like, well, you
we're
guys
in
have
danger, and there's nothing we can do. Yeah.
Because, 40 years ago, if we had started recycling, we'd be in a better place.
Yeah.
But now it's too late. But we still should try to. I think we need to just find a new one.
You think that's easier than getting like the whole world on electric cars and stopping pollution?
It 100% is. Come on. We can't convince everybody to do anything.
Yeah.
Let alone, I think we just need to go find a new one, I guess, and start anew.
So Mars it is?
I think we need to send them up there. I think send them up there.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
The journey of an entire population begins with a few astronauts.
And think about how like cheap property could be. Everybody's talking about how much houses cost.
We could invest in real estate on Mars.
A whole new planet.
Yeah.
It'd be so much more available. It already sounds better.
We need to get in on this. NASA.
Find more Riot content online. Riot.radiou.com.
60% of Americans with kids say that they use their phone more than their kids do. Adults with parents, 60% say they're on their phone more than their kids.
Awful hypocritical, if you ask me.
You think so?
Yeah.
In what way?
Because
Unpack
usually parents are the ones saying, like, get off your phone. You're on your phone so much.
Not at the dinner table, they say.
What have you been doing today? You been on your phone all day?
Uh-huh.
Get off the iPad. Go outside. Go do something.
Mm-hmm.
While simultaneously scrolling themselves.
Well, here's something you have to remember about parents. They have jobs. And so, as an adult, one, you can do whatever you want. First of all, that's something parents can say to their kid. I can do whatever I want. I'm a grown-up. And but secondly, sometimes you have to use your phone for your job. And so I think that...
No, you don't.
That's a reasonable explanation. You do have to use a lot of jobs.
How many times have you went home and used your phone for your job?
All the time.
Never. I've never done it.
Does posting on TikTok count as a job?
No.
Count as part of my job?
No. I would say if you're working outside of your 9 to 5 on your phone, because I understand at work or whatever, if you're texting or taking calls, but if it's past 5 p.m. and you're doing something for work,
yeah,
then that doesn't count.
It doesn't count even if you're checking and scrolling through emails or something like that.
No, I don't know what you're doing that for. Your boss isn't going to pay you any more because you're taking time at home to do more work.
What about this though? That maybe we're training. This is really going kind of in a different direction. But you're telling people right now, leave work at work, right? You come home.
Oh, here we go.
Once you get home, you need to focus on what's important.
Your family.
Your family. But what do we teach kids? You get home from school, what do? Homework.
Yeah, it's different.
Why?
Because that's how school works versus work.
Why?
The best thing about being an adult, this is the best thing about being an adult, is when I get off work, I can do whatever the heck I want. I don't have anything to do.
But we're training children to grow up and not know when to leave work behind.
Yeah, but that's how homework works. They can't get all the work done.
Yeah, but you know who's in charge of homework? Adults. So why don't we change it? We can change it.
This is a completely different thing we're talking about.
It is a completely different thing.
You want to get rid of homework? Is that what we're talking about?
I'd love to get rid of homework.
I thought we started with 6 and 10 parents admit they spend more time with their phone than their kids do.
Yeah.
You want to get rid of homework.
And I'm blaming homework for that.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yes.
So people shouldn't write papers anymore? Papers are out because you can't do that at school.
Write them at school.
What do you mean? You've never been to school. You don't even know how school works. You can't do it in school. What are you talking about? You're learning in school. They're teaching you in school. And then you have to go home and you have to do it yourself. That's how it works, unfortunately.
I don't think that's training children very well. I think it's teaching them to constantly be having their mind on work, which is not what we want. That's not healthy.
And it's not like they have homework every night anyway.
It's literally in the name, work.
Homework.
Yeah.
So you're saying no homework.
You're taking work home with you. When you're an adult doing that, that's exactly what you're not supposed to do.
Yeah, but if your boss gave you work to do at home, you know what you do? you'd do it.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
We do a lot of relationship advice for like people trying to get into relationships, have success early on in dating. We even had a relationship expert on the show yesterday. You can find that on the Worst of the Riot podcast. Well, how about some relationship advice if you've been in a relationship for a while? You want to make sure it continues to feel fresh.
Oh, things are getting stale.
Yeah. You're ready to switch things up. You need to add a little spice to. Yeah, let's do it. You ready for this? Here's what you do. You go alphabet dating.
Okay.
Alphabet dating is where you pick a letter in the alphabet, and that determines what you do for the date night.
Okay, so let's give me an example.
Okay. A. You maybe you pick a restaurant to go out to with A. Starts with A. Applebee's.
Applebee's.
Obvious choice. All right. This is going to keep the relationship going. This Applebee's.
I like the way you're thinking.
But then you pick an activity to go with the Applebee's that starts with A.
Okay.
Axe throwing.
Axe throwing and Applebee's.
Yeah, there you go.
How you doing now?
And all of a sudden, things have gotten a little more steamy, a little more spicy. You've reinvigorated things.
We're doing Applebee's. We're doing axe throwing. Maybe we're gonna bring some apple slices, some apple bottom jeans.
Sure.
What else do you want?
There you go. Yeah, you go to Alaska.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
maybe
perhaps.
Atlanta. Maybe go to a place a little bit closer.
Sure.
Atlanta.
But and this is how you do it. And then you just every time you have a date night, you go through the alphabet. You keep picking different letters. And if you get all the way to Z, then you get married.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So then that would take, how many letters are there in the alphabet? 23? 26.
Yeah.
So 26 date nights. That's over the course of 26 weeks.
Yeah. I think that sounds.
You're doing one a week. That's about half a year.
Half a year. And if you can make it through if you can find some stuff to do for X, you're destined to be together.
That's true.
Something you can agree on. If you can have a xylophone date night, that's a sign that things are going well.
Yeah, I don't know where the heck you're going.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no places to eat.
Probably like Xerxes Persian cuisine.
Maybe you're just eating something that starts with X. Maybe you can't go out.
Yeah, that could be. Maybe you watch a movie. Maybe you watch Triple X. You just stay in that night.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, with Vin Diesel. Boom. Taken care of. X-Men. Also an option.
X-Men. That's a way better option.
Clearly. Yeah, some of the nights more difficult. They might be more difficult than others to plan. Q, also one. I do have to question what you would do.
But then once you get that far down the line,
things are clearly.
You'll have to figure it out.
Yeah.
You're doing better. Things are doing better.
You might be able to leave alphabet dating behind if you're getting all the way to Q, X, Y, Z.
Yeah, you don't need it anymore.
Yeah, you've reinvigorated things already.
Yeah, you guys are already heated up.
You found a new spark.
Exactly. Once you get to like J, you're going to be feeling pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, that's what, like 10 dates?
That's got to be 10 dates.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing good at J.
You know by then.
Oh, yeah.
You know where things are headed. All right. I think this is helpful for everyone.
That's enough of that. For more Riot content, head to riot.radiou.com.